Hey, welcome to my Alpha Files channel. Today I'm going to tell you a very different story. Imagine an Omega, a relationship that lasted years, a betrayal, and a single decision: revenge. But the person he goes after for revenge isn't his enemy, quite the opposite. Today's story: a garage, an alpha, and a feeling you never expected. If you're ready, let's get started. I found out on a Tuesday. Not a dramatic Tuesday. Not a Tuesday with storm clouds or ominous music or any of the signs the universe supposedly sends before it destroys you. Just a Tuesday in October with a gas station coffee going cold in my hand and a key in a lock that I turned too quietly. My name is Noa Cael. I am 23 years old, an unbonded Omega, and until that Tuesday, I had a plan. The plan was simple and embarrassingly ordinary. Finish my apprenticeship at the design studio. Move in with my alpha of 2 years, Riven. Maybe get a dog. Maybe, eventually, let him bond me. Riven was safe. Riven was consistent. Riven smelled like cedarwood and stability, and I had convinced myself that stability was the same thing as love. I was wrong about a lot of things that Tuesday. The apartment was dark when I walked in, except for one lamp in the bedroom, throwing a stripe of gold under the door. My first thought was that Riven had fallen asleep waiting for me. My second thought never finished forming. The door was open 2 inches. I pushed it wider. I will not describe what I saw in detail, because some images do not need to live in words. I will only say this: the person in that bed with Riven was not a stranger. She was Demi, my beta best friend of 6 years, the one who had helped me pick out Riven's birthday gift last month, the one who had sat across from me at brunch 3 Sundays ago and told me she thought I was so lucky. I stood in the doorway for what felt like a full minute without breathing. Then I placed my key very carefully on the hallway table. Then I walked back out. Then I sat in my car in the parking garage for 40 minutes staring at the concrete wall. Then I drove to a bar called The Hollow and ordered something I do not usually drink. My friend Petra found me there 2 hours later. Petra is the kind of friend who does not ask questions before she sits down. She ordered her own drink, looked at my face, and said, "Tell me." So I told her. When I finished, Petra was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You need to make him feel small." I laughed into my glass. "He is a head taller than me, Petra." "I do not mean physically," she said. "I mean you need to walk back into his world with something he cannot compete with." "What does that even mean?" Petra leaned forward. "Riven is terrified of exactly one person in this world," she said. "I know because he told me once, at that pack barbecue when he had too many drinks. He said she was the only alpha he had ever met who made him want to leave a room just by entering it." "His sister," she said. I went still. Riven had a half-sister. He almost never mentioned her. When he did, it was in clipped sentences with his jaw tight. "She runs some kind of underground operation," he had told me once. "Motorcycles, pack politics, things I do not get involved in. She is not stable. She is not someone you bring home." "What is her name?" I asked Petra. "Cael," Petra said. "Cael Cade. And I am told she runs a garage on the south side of the city called Ironbone." That night, I did not sleep. I lay in the guest room of Petra's apartment, and I stared at the ceiling. And I thought about the look on Riven's face if he walked into a pack event and saw me on his sister's arm. I thought about Demi watching from across the room. I thought about what it would feel like to stop being the person things happened to and start being the person who made things happen. By morning, I had talked myself out of it 4 times. By the time I had showered and put on my coat, I had talked myself back in. I told Petra at breakfast. She nearly choked on her coffee. You are going to walk into an underground Pack Alpha's garage, she said, and ask her to fake date you? Yes, I said. Noa, she said. That is insane. I know, I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, wear the brown jacket. It makes you look less like prey. Ironbone Customs was not what I expected. I had imagined something grimy and chaotic. What I found was a converted warehouse on a corner block with high windows and clean concrete floors, and the sound of something being built rather than broken. The bay doors were rolled up. Inside, I could see 4 bikes in various states of assembly, 2 women in coveralls moving between them, and the smell of oil and metal, and something underneath it that made my Omega instincts do something complicated. Alpha, that smell said. Dominant alpha. The kind your biology has opinions about whether you asked it to or not. I smoothed down the brown jacket and walked in. Excuse me, I said to the first person I saw. A beta mechanic with grease on her forearms and headphones around her neck. I'm looking for Cael. The mechanic looked me up and down, without hostility. She's under the venom, she said, nodding toward the far end of the garage. The black one. I walked toward the far end. There was indeed a black motorcycle suspended on a lift, with a pair of legs extending from beneath it. The legs were in dark work pants. The boots were heavy, worn, and had clearly been chosen for function, rather than appearance. Excuse me, I said again, louder. The figure slid out from under the bike on a flat board. She sat up, and I forgot, for approximately 3 full seconds, what I had come here to do. Cael Cade was not what I had expected. Riven was broad and polished, and moved through rooms like he owned them. His sister moved like she had already decided the room was not worth owning. She was tall, lean, with the kind of build that spoke of work rather than vanity. Her dark hair was pulled back carelessly. Her eyes were the color of storm water, gray with something underneath. She had a cut on her jaw that was a few days old, and a smear of grease across her cheekbone that she did not seem aware of. She looked at me the way a predator looks at something that has wandered into its territory. Not threatening exactly, more like, I am deciding if you are interesting enough to bother with. You're not here for work, she said. Her voice was low and even, and had the quality of someone who did not raise it often because they had never needed to. No, I said. Then what? She said. I am Noa Cael, I said. I was Riven Cade's Omega. Something shifted in her expression. Not surprise, more like recognition. He told me about you, she said. She stood up in one fluid movement, wiping her hands on a cloth. She was several inches taller than me, and she used none of it to loom. She just stood there, contained and still, and waited. I found him with someone else yesterday, I said. A beta. Someone I trusted. Cael's expression did not change, but something behind her eyes did. I am sorry, she said, and she sounded like she meant it. Thank you, I said, but that is not why I am here. She tilted her head slightly. I am here because I want to make him feel what I felt standing in that doorway, I said. And I think the only way to do that is to show up somewhere he will be, looking like I have moved on to something he cannot imagine competing with. Cael looked at me for a long moment. Go on, she said. I need someone who will make him feel the way he made me feel, I said. Small, replaceable, outmatched. And I was told, I said carefully, that you are the only person in the world who can do that to him just by being in the same room. Silence. Somewhere behind me a drill started and stopped. Cael looked at the cloth in her hands, then back at me. You want to fake date me? She said. To get back at my brother. Yes, I said. She did not look offended. She did not look amused either. She looked thoughtful, which was somehow more unnerving than either. Why would I do that? She asked. Because you have not spoken to your brother in 3 years, I said. And I think there is a pack gathering in 2 weeks that Riven's family will be attending. And I think you might want to walk into that room as something other than the sister who left. I had done my research the night before. Pack registers are public record if you know where to look. Cael's name had been removed from the Cade Pack roster 6 years ago. The removal was listed as voluntary withdrawal, which was the polite way of saying she had been pushed out. Cael looked at me. The gray eyes were unreadable. "You did your homework," she said. "I had a long night," I said. She almost smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that lived at the edge of something dangerous. But it was there. "One condition," she said. "If we do this, we do it completely. No half measures. You follow my lead in pack spaces because I know those rules better than you do. And you do not flinch." "What do you mean?" I asked. She took one slow step toward me. The alpha scent intensified. My omega biology registered it immediately. A full-body awareness that I had absolutely not asked for. "I mean," she said quietly, "that pack gatherings are not polite dinners. They read body language. They read scent. They will know in 30 seconds if you are performing. So if I put my hand on your back, you do not stiffen. If I speak into your ear, you do not pull away. If I tell you to hold still, you hold still. Can you do that?" My heart was doing something unreasonable. "Yes," I said. She held my gaze for another beat. Then she stepped back and the air pressure in the room returned to normal. "Come back Thursday evening," she said, turning back to the motorcycle. "We will need to talk before the gathering." "That is 2 weeks away," I said. "I know," she said. She slid back under the bike as if the conversation was finished. I stood there for a moment. Then I turned and walked back out into the gray October afternoon. Outside, Petra was sitting on a wall eating a sandwich. "Well?" she said. She said yes, I said. Petra choked on the sandwich. I spent the next 2 days rearranging my life. I moved my remaining things out of Riven's apartment while he was at work. He texted twice. The first text said, "We should talk." The second said, "Demi means nothing." I did not respond to either. I moved into Petra's second bedroom, surrounded by boxes and the specific kind of exhaustion that comes not from lack of sleep, but from carrying something heavy for too long and finally putting it down. Thursday came. I went back to Ironbone at 7 in the evening. The bay doors were half closed and the garage was quieter. One mechanic was finishing up at a workbench. The rest had gone home. Cael was at a metal table near the back with 2 cups of something hot and a folded map of the city's pack territories. She looked up when I walked in. "Sit," she said. I sat. She pushed one of the cups toward me without asking if I wanted it. I wrapped my hands around it. "The pack gathering is held at the Ashford estate," she said. "Riven's family pack, the Cade Ashford Alliance, uses it for seasonal events. I know the layout. I know the hierarchy. I know exactly where to be and when." "You know it well for someone who has been out of the pack for 6 years, I said. "I did not leave because I stopped paying attention," she said. "I left because I paid too much attention and saw clearly what I was dealing with." "What were you dealing with?" I asked. She looked at the map. "An alpha father who believed unmated omegas were a resource problem to be managed," she said, her voice flat. "And a brother who agreed with him as long as it was convenient." I went still. "Riven," I said quietly. "He is not a monster," she said. "He is something more common than that. He is a man who defaults to the easy thing. The easy thing when I was 17 was agreeing that I was a disruption. The easy thing with you was Demi. Easy is not the same as harmless." "No," I said, "it is not." We sat with that for a moment. Then she pulled a sheet of paper toward her. I want to go over the scenario, she said. We will arrive together. I will introduce you to the pack members you do not know. You will stay close to me, but not rigid. When Riven sees us, we do not go to him. We let him come to us. What if he does not come? I asked. He will, she said simply. How do you know? Because I am there, she said. And Riven has been trying to prove something to me for 6 years. He will not be able to resist. I looked at her across the table. The garage light fell across her face in a way that made the cut on her jaw visible, and the storm gray of her eyes very clear. Can I ask you something? I said. She nodded once. Do you actually want to go back? I asked. To that world? To those people? She was quiet for a moment. No, she said finally. But I want to walk in standing upright instead of being dragged in as a cautionary tale. There is a difference. I understand that, I said. She looked at me. You know you smell like you mean that, she said. I blinked. Omegas are not good liars, she said. Not to an alpha who is paying attention. You actually understand. That is unusual. Most people who come here want something uncomplicated. I am not uncomplicated, I said. No, she agreed. You are not. She stood and gathered the map. Next Thursday, she said. I want you here for 2 hours so we can practice. Practice what? I said. Being believable, she said. She said it the way someone says the weather is cold. Factual, unapologetic. I will need to know how you move, she said. How close you can stand without your scent changing. Whether you flinch at contact. I felt heat climb my neck. I do not flinch, I said. She almost smiled again. We will see, she said. I went home and lay in the dark of Petra's guest room and had a very serious conversation with myself about the nature of this arrangement. It is strategic, I told myself. It is temporary. She is a means to an end, and you are a means to an end. And when it is over, you will go back to your life. My Omega instincts, which had been loudly unhelpful since the first moment I smelled her, had several counter-arguments. I ignored all of them. The following Thursday, I arrived at Ironbone at 7 again. The garage was empty except for Cael. She had pushed the work tables back, and the center of the floor was clear. She was standing in the middle of it in a black t-shirt with her arms crossed, looking like someone who had been waiting and was not impatient about it. Take your jacket off, she said. I took it off. She looked at how I held myself. Her gaze was not unkind, but it was thorough. You are braced, she said. Your shoulders are up. Pack alphas will read that as discomfort with me. I relaxed my shoulders deliberately. Better, she said. Now walk toward me. I walked toward her. She watched. You walk like you are apologizing for taking up space, she said. Omegas in a bonded pair do not do that. They walk like they know who they belong to. I am not sure I know how to do that, I said. Cael tilted her head. Think of it this way, she said. You are not performing submission. You are performing certainty. Certainty that you are exactly where you chose to be. That is a different thing entirely. I tried again. She watched. There, she said quietly. That. I had not done anything differently that I was aware of, but something in her voice had shifted. She crossed the floor toward me in 4 even steps and stopped close enough that I could smell the alpha scent clearly. My pulse registered it immediately. I held still. Good, she said. She lifted her hand slowly, giving me time to track the movement, and placed it flat against the center of my back. Not gripping, just present. The warmth of it went through my shirt. My omega instincts made a sound I did not say out loud. "How is your scent right now?" she asked. She was watching my face. "Complicated," I said honestly. She almost smiled. "That is actually correct," she said. "A bonded pair smells layered. There is always something underneath the surface." She lowered her hand. I breathed. "Now," she said, "if someone at the gathering gets too close to you, you do not step away. You step toward me. Always toward me. Can you remember that?" "Yes," I said. She took one step back, and the air between us returned to its normal temperature. We ran through it for 2 hours. She showed me the pack hierarchy map she had drawn from memory. She told me which family members to be courteous to and which to avoid. She told me that her father would likely be there, and that she needed me to know in advance that she did not want to discuss it. "I will not ask you to perform anything for him," she said. "He is not the audience." "Who is the audience?" I asked. "Riven," she said. "And yourself." I looked at her. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "that you did not come here only for revenge. You came here because you wanted to see if you could walk into a room that scares you and not disappear." I had not said that to her. I had not said it to Petra. I had barely said it to myself. "You smell like you mean that, too," I said. She looked at me steadily. "I pay attention," she said. "That is all." She handed me my jacket. "Saturday," she said. "I will pick you up at 8. You will ride with me. I do not have a car." "I know," I said. She looked mildly surprised. "You knew I ride?" "I did my research," I reminded her. That almost smile again. "Wear something you are not afraid to ruin," she said. "The leather gets cold." Saturday arrived. It arrived the way things arrive when you have been dreading and wanting them in equal measure. I stood outside Petra's building in dark trousers and a deep green top that Petra had selected with the focus of someone defusing a bomb. "You need to look like someone an alpha like that would choose," Petra had said, holding the top up against me. "Not because you are performing, because you deserve to walk in there looking like you belong." I heard the motorcycle before I saw it. It was a low, even sound that the other vehicles on the street seemed to move aside for. Cael came around the corner on a matte black bike that looked like it had been built for something more serious than commuting. She was in dark jeans and a jacket over a charcoal shirt. Her hair was down. It was the first time I had seen it down. It changed her face somehow, made it less guarded. She stopped in front of me and looked me over. She held out a helmet without comment. I put it on. She adjusted the strap with 2 quick movements, her hands efficient and careful. "Hold here," she said, indicating her waist. "Lean when I lean. Do not fight the movement." I had been on motorcycles exactly once before, years ago, and I had been terrified. This was different. When she pulled away from the curb, the terror was there for approximately 40 seconds. And then something else replaced it. The city moved differently from the back of a motorcycle. The cold air, the lights, the way the machine responded to small shifts in weight. I was aware of the warmth of her through the jacket. I was aware of the even steadiness of her breathing. My omega instincts, which had been asking complicated questions for 10 days, went very quiet, in a way that felt like an answer I was not ready for. The Ashford estate was outside the city, a property of pale stone and old money, set back from a private road. There were vehicles parked along the drive, and the sound of voices from within. Cael cut the engine. We sat in the quiet for a moment. She turned slightly and looked at me over her shoulder. "Ready?" she asked. "No," I said. "Good," she said. She swung off the bike and offered me a hand. I took it. Her hand was warm and dry and completely steady. We walked toward the entrance, and I felt the moment the shift happened. It was not theatrical. It was not a movie moment. It was simply that somewhere between the motorcycle and the front steps, I stopped performing and started existing. The warmth of her beside me, the measured pace of her walk, the way she had adjusted the strap of my helmet without being asked. I stopped thinking about Riven. The gathering was crowded in the way that pack events always are. Bodies and scents and the low hum of hierarchy being negotiated in every corner. Cael moved through it like water moves through rock. Not forcing, finding the path that was already there. I stayed close to her left side. When someone stepped too close in the press of the crowd, she shifted half a step and her shoulder was between us without any drama. I remembered what she had said. Toward me, always toward me. It was not difficult. That was the part I had not expected. The first person to see us was a woman in her 50s, with iron gray hair and the expression of someone accustomed to cataloging threats. Cael's aunt, I remembered from the territory map. Cael, the woman said. The word carried significant weight for 3 letters. Aunt Varys, Cael said. Her voice was neutral. I did not realize you would be here. We were invited, Cael said. The woman's gaze moved to me. Cael's hand settled at the small of my back. Not pressing, just there. This is Noa, Cael said. She is with me. The simplicity of those 4 words did something to my chest that I filed away to think about later. Varys looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, Your father is here. I know, Cael said. She said it the same way she had said it, is cold, factual, unshakable. Varys moved on. I exhaled quietly. You are doing well, Cael said, low enough that only I could hear. I said nothing, because the honest response was that I was not entirely sure what I was doing. But it did not feel like what I had planned. It felt like something else. We circulated. Cael knew more people than her exile would suggest, and the ones who knew her watched her with a mixture of wariness and something closer to respect. She had not been forgotten. She had become a story. And stories, in pack spaces, carry weight. I was introduced 14 times in 40 minutes. Each time Cael said, This is Noa, she is with me. Each time the 4 words landed the same way. We were near the fireplace when I saw Riven. He was across the room with a drink in his hand and Demi standing close to his side. The sight of her landed differently than I expected. Not like a knife. More like pressing a bruise and finding it has already started to heal. I was more surprised by that than by anything else. Riven saw me at the same moment. The sequence of his expression was fast, but readable. Recognition, then confusion, then a particular look that I recognized as the one he wore when something disrupted his understanding of how things were ordered. Then his gaze moved to Cael, and the color left his face. I did not look at him. I looked at the fireplace. Cael stood beside me, and I could feel the complete stillness of her. She had seen him too. She was waiting. He will come, she had said. He came. It took 4 minutes. I know because I counted the seconds the way you count during something you are not sure you will survive. Noa, he said. His voice had that particular quality of someone performing composure they do not have. I turned. He looked at me first, and then at Cael, and whatever he had been planning to say did not come out. Riven, I said. My voice was steady. I was surprised. He looked at Cael. Something old and complicated moved across his face. What are you doing here? He said. He was speaking to her. She was invited, Cael said, and so was I. Riven's jaw tightened. I watched him and felt something clarify inside me that had been murky for 2 years. The safety I had thought I loved had not been safety. It had been smallness. I had made myself smaller to fit inside the shape of what he wanted and called it comfort. Demi appeared at his shoulder. She looked at me and then away. I felt nothing toward her that surprised me. I felt nothing toward her at all. "How long?" Riven said. He was still looking at Cael. "That is not your question to ask," Cael said. "You gave up the right to ask questions about her life." The room was not watching us exactly, but the room was aware of us in the way that pack spaces always are. A disturbance in the hierarchy. A thread pulled loose. Riven looked at me. "You did this to hurt me," he said. I thought about that. "I came here," I said, "because I wanted to see if I could walk into a room I was afraid of and not disappear." His expression shifted. "That is not," I continued, "the same thing as doing something to hurt you. It is something I did for myself. The difference matters." He opened his mouth. Cael stepped forward 1 step. Just one. She did not say anything. She did not need to. Riven closed his mouth. He took Demi's arm and they moved away. I watched them go. Then I turned to Cael. She was watching my face. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Smaller than I expected to," I said honestly. She looked at me. "The pain, I mean," I said. "I expected it to feel bigger." She nodded slowly. "Sometimes the things we build into monuments are just objects," she said. "You look at them from the right angle and they are just what they are." I looked at her. She was looking at the room. "Thank you," I said, "for tonight." She turned to me. The firelight was on her face. "You did not need me for what just happened," she said quietly. "You did that yourself." "I needed you there," I said. "There is a difference." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Do you want to leave?" "Yes," I said. We left. Outside, the air was cold and clean, and the city was a distant glow past the tree line. We walked to the motorcycle and stood beside it for a moment without moving. "I should say," she began. "Don't," I said. She looked at me. "Whatever careful and professional thing you are about to say," I said, "don't say it yet." She closed her mouth. I looked at the dark shape of the estate behind us, and the stars that were visible this far from the city, and the fact that my hands were shaking slightly, not from cold. "Can I ask you something?" I said. She nodded. "Tonight," I said. "Was any of it, for you, something other than strategic?" She was very still. The alpha scent was present, and I was no longer pretending it did not affect me. She looked at me. "Yes," she said. One word. She said it the way she said everything. Factual. Unapologetic. I exhaled. "The arrangement," she said carefully. "What we agreed to." "I know," I said. But, she said. "Yes," I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "Get on the bike. I need to think, and I think better when I am moving." I got on the bike. She drove, not back toward the city, out along a road that ran parallel to the ridge. No other lights, just the beam of the headlight and the cold air and the sky overhead. I held on, my arms around her waist and my face against the back of her jacket. I was not holding on from fear. She must have known the difference. We rode for 20 minutes before she slowed and pulled off onto a lookout point above the city. The lights spread out below us like a circuit board. She cut the engine. We sat in the quiet. "I need to tell you something," she said. I waited. "The reason I stopped coming to pack events," she said. "It was not only my father." "I know," I said. "You know?" she said. "Riven told me," I said. "He told me about the vote, the register removal." I watched her profile. "He told you they voted to formally withdraw my status?" she said. "Yes," I said. "He did not tell it as a thing that was done to you," I said. "He told it as a thing that was decided, which tells me something about him." Cael looked at the city. "I built Ironbone so that I would never need a pack," she said. "So that I would never again be in a room where my status could be put to a vote." "I understand that," I said. She turned her head to look at me. "We are still on the bike," I said. "I know," she said. And I said I need to think. "Take the time you need," I said. She turned back to the city. I sat behind her and said nothing. After a while, she said, "I would like to see you again, outside of the arrangement." My heart did something my Omega biology claimed no responsibility for. "I would like that too," I said. She nodded once, then she started the bike. We rode back toward the city. I watched the lights come closer and thought about the word arrangement, and whether it still meant what it had meant 2 weeks ago. I did not think it did. She dropped me at Petra's building. I climbed off the bike and removed the helmet and handed it back. She took it. She looked at me. "Thursday," she said. "Ironbone. 7. "Not strategy," I said. "Just dinner." One side of her mouth lifted. "Just dinner," she agreed. She put the bike in gear. I watched her go until the sound of the engine was gone. Then I went upstairs. Petra was awake, sitting on the couch with a book that she was clearly not reading. She looked up. "Tell me," she said. So I told her. When I finished, she looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "Noa." "What?" "You went in there to make Riven feel small." "Yes." "Did it work?" I thought about it. "I forgot to check," I said. Petra stared at me. Then she started laughing. I sat on the couch beside her, and after a moment I started laughing too. It was not the careful, managed kind of happiness I had settled for with Riven. It was the kind that arrives before you have thought about whether it is appropriate. The kind that does not ask permission. I fell asleep on Petra's couch sometime after midnight. In the morning there was a message on my phone. It was from an unsaved number. The text said, "Brought you something from the garage." A photo attached. It was a small metal pin, a rough geometric wolf, the kind of thing welded as a detail piece. The text below the photo said, "For the jacket." I looked at it for a long time. Then I saved the number. The name I saved it under was not strategic. It was not temporary. It was just her name. Cael. Thursday came. I arrived at Ironbone at 7. The garage was quiet. She was at the back table again with 2 cups, and this time no maps. She was wearing a gray shirt with the sleeves pushed up, and she looked like someone who had decided to be somewhere rather than ended up there. I sat down. She pushed the cup toward me. I picked it up. We sat for a moment in the way that people sit together when they have stopped performing for each other. "Petra asked me something this morning," I said. She asked what I asked. "What did you ask?" She asked if the plan worked, if I made Riven feel small. Cael looked at me. "Did it?" she asked. "I do not know," I said. "I forgot to check." Something moved through her eyes. I looked at the cup in my hands. "I went there with a plan," I said. "The plan made sense 2 weeks ago." She waited. "I am not sure," I said, that I am the same person who made that plan. The garage was very quiet. The evening light came through the high windows at a low angle. I looked up at her. She was looking at me with the full weight of that storm-gray attention. I should tell you something, she said. Tell me, I said. She wrapped her hands around her cup. I told you that I built Ironbones so I would never need a pack, she said. I know, I said. What I did not tell you, she said slowly, is that I have been watching Riven's gatherings on the pack register for 6 years. I looked at her. Not because I wanted to go, she said, because I wanted to know if he was happy. I went still. He was, she said. He had a stable business and a pack standing and an Omega who fit his life. I hated that I checked. I hated that I cared. She set down the cup. And then the register updated 3 weeks ago, she said, and his status changed to unpartnered. I did not understand why until you walked into my garage. I looked at her. The alpha scent was present and full, and my Omega instincts were saying nothing complicated anymore. They were saying one single, clear thing. I came here to use you, I said quietly. I know, she said. And I agreed, because I wanted to use the opportunity, she said. I know, I said. And now, she said. Now, I said. I set down the cup. I stood up. She watched me. I walked around the table. She did not move. I stood in front of her. The height difference was what it was. She looked up at me. Her expression was open in a way it had not been in the garage on the first day. Or perhaps it had always been open, and I had not known how to read it yet. I put my hand against her jaw. Her eyes closed for 1 second. I am not performing, I said. She opened her eyes. I know, she said. I can tell. I leaned down and she met me halfway. The kiss was not dramatic. It was not the culmination of something staged. It was just true. The way things are true when you stop deciding what they should be and let them be what they are. She put her hand over mine where it rested on her jaw. We stayed like that for a moment. Then she pulled back slightly and looked at me. I should tell you something else, she said. Her voice was different, not careful, alert. What? I said. She reached into the pocket of her jacket on the chair beside her. She placed a phone on the table between us. It was not her phone. It was an older model with a cracked corner. Where did that come from? I said. One of my mechanics found it this morning, she said, in the garage, under the Venom. Someone was here last night, she said, after I left to pick you up. My stomach went cold. Who? I said. She looked at me. The message on the screen was visible. It was a photo. The photo was of the two of us, on the lookout above the city, taken from distance with a long lens. Below it was a single line of text. The text said, "She does not belong to you." It was sent to Cael's number. The sender was listed as unknown. But I recognized the cadence of the sentence, the particular way the words were arranged. I had heard that voice construct things for 2 years. Riven, I said. Cael's hand was on the table between us, steady and open. Maybe, she said, or someone acting for him. I looked at the photo, the lookout, the dark, the two of us on the motorcycle, not visible to anyone from the road. Which means they followed us from the estate, I said. Yes, she said. I looked up at her. The evening light was still coming through the high windows. The garage was still quiet. But something in the quality of the quiet had changed. "Are you afraid?" she asked. "No," I said. She looked at me. "That is either very brave," she said, "or the beginning of a problem." "Tell me the difference," I said. She looked at the phone on the table. She looked at me. "Brave," she said slowly, "is when you know what you are walking into." She picked up the phone. "And right now," she said, "I do not know what we are walking into." I held her gaze. "Then we find out together," I said. She looked at me for a long moment. The storm-gray eyes were unreadable, and then they were not. They were the look of someone who has made a decision. "Yes," she said. She put the phone back down. She reached across the table and covered my hand with hers. "Together," she said. Outside the city hummed. Somewhere in it, Riven Cade was either afraid or angry, and I did not know which. I did not know what came next. I did not know what he had set in motion, or who he had sent, or what he believed he had the right to take back. But I knew the weight of Cael's hand over mine, and I knew that I had walked into a garage 2 weeks ago with a plan that had already unmade itself entirely. And I knew that whatever came next, I was not going to be the person who disappeared quietly. Not anymore. Outside, the light was going. Inside the garage, the 2 cups were still warm. And somewhere under the lookout road, pointed back toward the city, Riven Cade's messenger was already moving. The next morning, I woke up in Petra's guest room with the specific clarity that comes after something has shifted permanently. Not the false clarity of decisions made in anger, the real kind. The kind that is still there when you make coffee and check your phone and look out the window at the ordinary gray of an ordinary morning. I looked at my phone. There was a message from Cael. It said, "The mechanic who found the phone says she saw someone near the side entrance around 10 last night. Beta, male, did not recognize him. Left on foot toward the south block." I sat with that for a moment. Then I typed back, "Does Riven know anyone on the south block?" Her reply came fast. "He knows people everywhere. That is what pack standing gets you." I put down the phone and got dressed. Petra was in the kitchen when I came out. She looked at my face. "What happened?" she said. I told her about the phone, the photo, the message. She was quiet in the particular way she gets quiet when she is deciding how worried to be. Then she said, "Noa." "What?" "He is not going to let this go easily," she said. "I know," I said. She looked at me. "Are you going to let her handle it?" I thought about that. "No," I said. "Good," Petra said. She poured me coffee. "Because frankly, I have been watching you manage things from the edges of other people's decisions for 2 years, and it does not suit you." I looked at her. "You could have said that 2 years ago," I said. "I did," she said. "You told me Riven made you feel grounded." "Oh," I said. "Yes," she said. I drank the coffee. I went to the design studio that morning, because life does not pause for personal upheaval, and I had 3 briefs due by end of week. I sat at my desk and I worked, and I did not think about Riven or the photograph or the cracked phone with the unknown sender. I thought about the garage. I thought about the way Cael had said, "together," without making it sound like a compromise. Like it was just the true description of the situation. My colleague Bram stopped by my desk around noon. Bram was an alpha, in the easy, uncomplicated way of someone who had never had to use it as a weapon. "You look different," he said. "How?" I said. He considered. "Less braced," he said. I thought about what Cael had said the first evening of practice. "Your shoulders are up," You walk like you are apologizing for taking up space." I did not say any of that to Bram. I said, "I had a good week." He nodded and went back to his desk. I went back to mine. At 4 o'clock, my phone rang. The number was not saved. I answered anyway. "Ms. Halen," a voice said. It was not Riven. It was an older voice, male, measured, with the particular flatness of someone accustomed to not having to raise their pitch to be heard. "Yes," I said. "My name is Edric Cade," the voice said. "I am Riven and Cael's father. I would like to speak with you." The air in the studio suddenly felt thin. "I am at work," I said. "I am aware," he said. "I will be brief." I said nothing. He said, "You are currently involved with my daughter. I would like to discuss that." "I do not think," I said carefully, "that my relationship is something I need to discuss with you." "I understand," he said, "but I believe there are things you do not know about Cael's history that are relevant to your safety." I held the phone. He was using the word safety. People who intend something direct do not reach for words like safety. "I will think about it," I said. "Please do," he said. He gave me a number and ended the call. I sat very still for 30 seconds. Then I called Cael. She picked up on the second ring. "My father called you," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," I said. "Are you alone?" "In the studio," I said. "Open floor plan, but no one is close." "He does this," she said. Her voice was even. "He finds out what matters to someone, and he approaches it. He calls it concern." "What is it actually?" I said. "Leverage," she said. "He will tell you things about me. Things designed to make you step back. I want you to hear me say it first. Most of what he tells you will be true." I went still. "What does that mean?" I said. "It means," she said, "that my history is not clean. The underground packwork, the routes I ran before Ironbone was legitimate. The things I did to build something when no one would give me a foundation to build on. None of it is invented." I sat with that. "Are you dangerous?" I asked. She was quiet for a moment. "I was," she said, "when I needed to be. I am not now. But that is a thing I say, and you would need to decide if you believe it." I looked at the studio around me, the briefs on my screen, the ordinary afternoon. "I believe it," I said. "You cannot know that yet," she said. "I know enough," I said. She was quiet again. Then she said, "Do not meet with my father alone." "I was not planning to," I said. "Good," she said. "Come to Ironbone tonight. I want to tell you myself. Everything. Not so you cannot leave. So that you have the full picture before you decide." "I will be there," I said. She ended the call. I put my phone down. Bram was looking at me from across the studio with the expression of someone who has changed his assessment. "You look braced again," he said. "I know," I said. That evening I arrived at Ironbone at 6. The garage was open and busy with the tail end of the day's work. Cael was at the far end talking to a mechanic, gesturing at something on a bike's engine with the focused economy of someone who knows what she is looking at. She saw me when I walked in. She finished the conversation in 20 seconds and crossed the floor. "Come upstairs," she said. I had not known there was an upstairs. A metal staircase at the back of the garage led to a mezzanine level. It was spare and functional. A work table, a long couch, a set of shelves with files and a few personal things. A window that looked down into the garage below. She poured 2 glasses of water and sat across from me. "I am going to tell you from the beginning," she said. "Tell me," I said. She did. It took an hour. She told me about leaving at 18 with nothing, and finding the only economy that would have her, the underground pack courier networks that ran between territories. She told me about the routes and the people she had worked for, and the lines she had and had not crossed. She told me about the moment 3 years ago when she had enough saved to take Ironbone from a failing lease and make it something legitimate. She told me about the pack politics that still touched the garage in ways she managed carefully. She told me about a man called Siren, who she had worked for, and who believed she still owed him something. When she finished, she looked at me steadily. "Your father will tell you some version of this," she said. "He will frame it as evidence that I am not safe." I looked at her. "What do you frame it as?" I asked. "Context," she said. "I survived. I built something. There are people who do not want me to have built it cleanly because it makes me harder to hold." I understood that. I had spent 2 years making myself easier to hold for someone who did not value the effort. "I am not afraid of your history," I said. She looked at me. "You should be at least a little afraid," she said. "Not of me. Of what it could pull toward you." "Siren," I said. She nodded. "He is watching Ironbone," she said. "He has been watching it for a year. He is waiting for me to need something. And if he thinks you are something I need," she said, "then I become a way to reach you," I said. "Yes," she said. I looked at the window that looked down into the garage, the mechanics moving below, the bikes in their stages of assembly, the thing that Cael had built from nothing. "Tell me about Siren," I said. She looked at me for a moment. Then she told me. Siren ran the largest remaining underground pack route in the city. He was not officially in any register. He operated through intermediaries and intermediaries of intermediaries. He had extended Cael credit when she was 19 and needed to move between territories without a pack stamp. The credit had not come free. She had repaid it in work. She had believed it repaid in full 3 years ago. Siren believed otherwise. "He believes I still owe the network access," she said. "That Ironbone is a front he has rights to." "Does he have anything in writing?" I asked. "Nothing that would hold in a legitimate register," she said. "But pack law is not always the same as formal law." She looked at me. "You understand what that means?" "I understand," I said. She refilled my water. "Riven," she said. "He does not know about Siren. He thinks my history is just bad choices. He does not know the specific shape of it." "Which means," I said, "the photograph, the message. That was Riven acting on his own grievance, not connected to Siren." She nodded. "2 separate problems," she said. "That is actually slightly better," I said. She looked at me. "Or it is 2 separate fronts," she said. I thought about that. Then I said, "What do you need from me?" She was very still for a moment. "No one has asked me that," she said. "Not in those words." I waited. "I need," she said slowly, "for you to trust that I am telling you everything now, and to tell me if anything happens that you think I should know about." "The phone call from your father?" I said. "Yes," she said. "Or anything else. Anything that feels like it is aimed at you specifically." I nodded. She looked at me. "You are taking this very calmly," she said. "I had a plan once," I said. "The plan was to be careful and stable and make sensible choices." She looked at me. "How did that work?" she asked. "I found my alpha of 2 years in bed with my best friend," I said. Something moved through her eyes. "Yes," she said. "So," I said, "I am trying something different." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What are you trying?" I looked at her. Certainty, I said. That is what you told me in the garage. You are not performing submission. You are performing certainty. Certainty that you are exactly where you chose to be. She looked at me. I chose to be here, I said. With you. With all of this. That is not a performance. She breathed out slowly. The quiet of the mezzanine settled around us. Below in the garage, the last lights were going off as the mechanics finished for the night. She reached across the table and put her hand over mine. Then she said carefully, I want to ask you something. Ask me, I said. Will you let me walk you through what I know about Surin? She said. I want you to understand the landscape. Not because you are in it yet, but because you deserve to see it clearly before you decide how close to stand. I looked at her hand over mine. I thought about standing in a doorway on a Tuesday in October, with the world rearranging itself without asking. I thought about Petra on a wall eating a sandwich. I thought about a motorcycle on a lookout above the city, and the lights below, and a voice saying, together, like it was just the true name of the situation. Yes, I said. Show me everything. She nodded once. She stood and went to the shelf and brought back a folder. She sat beside me this time instead of across. This is what I know, she said, opening the first page. And this is what I suspect. And this is the gap between them that worries me most. I looked at the papers. Her shoulder was warm beside mine. Outside, the city moved through its ordinary nighttime business, completely unaware of what was being assembled in a garage mezzanine on the south side. We sat there for 2 more hours. By the end of it, I knew more about the underground pack networks than I had ever expected to know. I knew the shape of Saren's operation and the way he used debt as architecture. I knew the 2 people at Ironbone who Cael believed reported back to him. I knew the 3 things she was watching for that would tell her if he was moving toward action rather than waiting. I also knew, sitting beside her in the quiet, with our heads bent over the same papers, that the plan I had walked into a garage with 2 weeks ago had become something I had not planned for at all. On the way out, she walked me to the door. The garage was dark and still. The bikes were shapes in the shadows. She stopped at the entrance. You rode the transit here, she said. Yes, I said. I will have someone take you, she said. It is late. I am fine, I said. I know you are, she said. But the transit stop is 4 blocks, and I want you to get home. I looked at her. This is not negotiable, she said. Her voice was not commanding. It was careful. There is a difference. All right, I said. She walked back into the garage and came back with one of the mechanics, a woman named Tor, who had the solid build of someone who had been doing physical work for 20 years. Tor will take you to the door, Cael said. I looked at Cael. Thursday was just dinner, I said. She looked at me. Yes, she said. And then this. Yes, I said. And then this. She put her hand briefly against my jaw, the same way I had put mine against hers in the garage. Brief and present and true. Go home, she said. I went. Tor walked me to the transit stop without talking, which I appreciated. She waited until the transit came. I rode home in the dark, watching the city pass. At Petra's stop, I got off. I walked to the building. I stopped outside the entrance. There was a car parked at the curb. It was a dark sedan. The engine was off. The windows were up. I could not see who was inside. I stood on the pavement. My phone was in my hand. I had Cael's number already open. The driver's window of the sedan rolled down. Ms. Halen, said the measured voice from this afternoon. Edric Cade. He was looking at me from the driver's seat. He was older than I expected. His hair was gray, and his face had the set of a man who believed he had earned the right to arrive unannounced. "I would like 5 minutes," he said. I looked at him. I looked at my phone. I thought about what Cael had said. "Do not meet with my father alone." I looked back at him. "I'm going inside," I said. "If you would like to speak with me, you can contact me through a formal channel." He looked at me for a long moment. "She has changed you already," he said. "That was fast." I looked at him. "You do not know me," I said. "You do not know what I was before." He tilted his head. "I know your pack file," he said. "Unbonded Omega, stable designation, no flags. You were building a very sensible life." "I was building a small life," I said. "There is a difference." Something shifted in his expression, not softened, recalculated. "Cael builds things that burn," he said. "She has been building something that lasts for 3 years," I said. "You would know that if you had been watching with honesty instead of looking for evidence of failure." He looked at me. He was not accustomed to this. I could see it. "You are not afraid of me," he said. He sounded faintly surprised. "No," I said. "Then you have not understood," he said, "what I can do to an unbonded Omega's pack standing with one phone call." I held his gaze. "I had a pack standing worth protecting 2 weeks ago," I said, "and I decided it was not worth what I was paying for it." He stared at me. "Go call whoever you need to call," I said. "I am going inside." I walked past the car. I did not look back. My hands were shaking by the time I reached the door. Inside, I leaned against the wall of the entrance hall for 30 seconds. Then I texted Cael. "Your father was outside my building." The reply came in under a minute. "Are you safe?" "Yes," I said. I told him to contact me through formal channels and walked away. A pause, then, "Are you actually all right?" Shaking a little, I said, "But yes." Another pause, then, "That took courage." I looked at the phone. "You told me," I typed. "Certainty that you are exactly where you chose to be." "I chose to be here." The reply took longer this time. When it came, it said, "I am glad you are here." I put my phone in my pocket and went upstairs. Petra was awake again. She looked at my face. "Edric Cade was outside," I said. She stood up. "I told him to use formal channels and walked away," I said. She sat back down. Then she said, "Noa." "What?" "I think you need to accept that this is not going to be a short story," she said. "I know," I said. I sat beside her on the couch. I looked at the ordinary living room, the bookshelf, the lamp, the small geography of someone else's life that I was currently borrowing. "I need to find my own place," I said. Petra looked at me. "You can stay here," she said. "I know," I said. "But I have been borrowing other people's spaces for too long." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "There is a studio 2 floors up. I know the landlord. I will call her tomorrow." I looked at her. "Thank you," I said. She bumped her shoulder against mine. "Now tell me what Cael's father said." So I told her. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "He threatened your pack standing." "He tried to," I said. She nodded. "He underestimated you," she said. "He was expecting the Noa from 2 weeks ago," I said. She looked at me. The Noah from 2 weeks ago would have apologized and gone inside quietly. Yes, she said. She would have. I looked at the lamp. I did not do anything remarkable, I said. I just did not apologize. Petra looked at me. Noah, she said. For you, for right now. That is remarkable. I thought about that for a long time after she went to bed. I thought about it while I lay in the dark of the guest room. I thought about the plan I had walked into Ironbone with. The clean, simple plan with a beginning and an end. Revenge, then back to ordinary life. I thought about Cael's hand over mine at the table, the folder of papers. The words, together, and everything, and show me. Somewhere in the city, Edric Cade was making phone calls. Somewhere in the city, Riven was sitting with his photograph and his grievance. Somewhere on the south side, Seren was watching Ironbone with patient, unhurried attention. And somewhere in a garage mezzanine above a row of motorcycles in the dark, the person I had walked in to use for a plan was sitting with the full weight of all of it. I picked up my phone. I typed, "Are you still awake?" The reply came immediately. Yes. I typed, "I just wanted to say." A pause, then, "Say it." I typed, "I walked into your garage with a plan." The plan lasted approximately 1 week. Another pause, then, "What replaced it?" I looked at the ceiling of Petra's guest room. I typed, "Something without an ending yet." The longest pause, then a single word back. "Good." I put the phone down. Outside the city was doing what it always did, moving, humming, connecting, and separating in the dark. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, 2 separate problems were gathering themselves towards something I could not yet see the shape of. I fell asleep thinking about the way she had said the word, together. Like it was not a negotiation. Like it was just the true name of where we already were. In the morning, there was a message from an unknown number. Not Edric Cade's number, a different one. It said only, "She cannot protect you from what is coming." And the word coming was underlined, not by punctuation, by the fact that my phone had received the same message 3 times. Sent from 3 different numbers, all within the same minute. I stared at the screen. Then I called Cael. She picked up before the first ring finished. "I know," she said. "Tor saw them. 3 people in the block around Ironbone this morning. Not Riven's people. Different configuration." "Seren," I said. She was quiet for 1 beat. "Yes," she said. "He is not waiting anymore." I looked at the 3 identical messages on my screen. "What do we do?" I said. "We meet," she said. "Now. Ironbone. Can you get here?" "Yes," I said. "I am already on my way," she said. "Noah." "What?" "Do not walk," she said. "Take transit and stay on the main lines. Do not go anywhere without people around you." "All right," I said. "And Noah," she said. "I am sorry." "For what?" I said. "For this reaching you," she said. "I knew it might. I still," her voice was careful, "I still let you in." I looked at the 3 messages. I thought about Edric Cade outside in his dark sedan. I thought about a photograph taken from a distance on a lookout above the city. I thought about standing in a garage for the first time and smelling an alpha scent that my biology had immediately and unhelpfully filed under relevant. "You did not let me in," I said. "I walked in." She was quiet. "There is a difference," I said. A pause, then, "I know." "Come now," she said. "I am coming," I said.
I got dressed in the grey morning light. Petra's apartment was quiet. I left a note on the kitchen table. I wrote, "Went to Ironbone. Will explain later. Everything is fine." I did not write the last part because it was true. I wrote it because I had decided it was going to be. I locked the door behind me and went out into the morning. The transit stop was 2 blocks north. I walked toward it with my hands in my pockets and my shoulders down and my eyes open. Not braced, certain. Certain that I was exactly where I had chosen to be. Behind me somewhere, the city hummed. Ahead of me, the transit stop was lit and visible, and full of ordinary people going to their ordinary mornings. And in a garage on the south side, above a row of motorcycles in the early light, something was beginning that I could not yet name. I had walked into a garage for revenge. I had walked out as something I had not planned. And now I was walking back. Not for revenge. Not for a plan. For the thing that had no ending yet. And for the woman who had said, together, like it was just the true description of where we already were.
The transit came. I got on. The doors closed. The city moved past the windows. I did not look back.